Welcome to Teachings on the Evernow, video 2, but this one's also going to be a book study, and this one's going to be from the Bible, the so-called Holy Bible. I like words like that. Anyway, this is from Jesus' words in Mark 13, and I'm going to start from the beginning of Mark chapter 13. The destruction of the temple foretold, it says, the book says. As he was making his way out of the temple area, one of his disciples said to him, "Look, teacher, what stones and what buildings?" Jesus said to him, "Do you see these great buildings? There will not be one stone left upon another that will not be thrown down." The book says, the signs of the end. As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, opposite the temple area, Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when will this happen? And what signs will there be when all these things are about to come to an end?" Jesus began to say to them, and by the way, I believe that this is where Jesus skips a little bit further in time and says, "See that no one deceives you. Many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and they will deceive many. When you hear of the wars and reports of wars, do not be alarmed." By the way, this is New American Version. "Such things must happen, but it will not yet in the end. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes from place to place, and there will be famines. These are the beginnings of the labor pains. Watch out for yourselves. They will hand you over to the courts. You will be beaten in synagogues. You will be arraigned before governors and kings because of me, as a witness before them." Now here is where I believe Jesus is saying that not for religion or Christianity. It's for truth and also for revealing what is hiding the truth that could help humanity as a whole. There's a lot of truths that are suppressed that would free humanity thousands of times from now. But anyway, "You will be hated by all because of my name, but the one who perseveres to the end will be saved." Now this is where I believe he actually talks of Obama, whom I didn't know was like that until I started studying after almost two terms, and links to Bush and Barbara. And it says, "When you see the desolating abomination standing where he should not," could be Kenya. And I've heard that very, very vehemently and specifically in evidence. And it says in parentheses here, in Jesus' words, supposedly, "Let the reader understand." And then it says, "Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains." And I believe he's talking about the whole Middle East. "And a person on a housetop must not go down or enter to get anything out of his house. And a person in the field must not return to get his cloak. Woe to pregnant women and nursing mothers in those days. Pray that this does not happen in winter, for those times will have tribulation, and such has not been since the beginning of God's creation until now." That could be Barbara Bush even, because I think that's when it really, really hit the Middle East. They couldn't even. Anyway, "If the Lord had not shortened these days, no one would be saved. But for the sake of the elect whom he chose, he did shorten the days. If anyone says to you then, 'Look, here is the Messiah. Look, there he is,' do not believe it. False messiahs and false prophets will arise and will perform signs and wonders in order to mislead, if that were possible, the elect." It's been misleading a lot of elect, and I mean spiritually elect. "Be watchful. I have told it all to you beforehand. But in those days after that tribulation," and this is in poetic form here, "the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light." Could be the blocking and poisoning for a while. Seems to have stopped or slowed down. "And the stars will be falling from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken." Now that is tough. Powers in the heavens will be shaken. stars will be falling from the sky, not just blotted from the sky. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. And I've foreseen this anyway. It's ETs and angelic realms that have already, we all knew that it was coming as a celebration because we got better and understood that there was other things happening now, heavenly. And at least the leaders were actually becoming more like leaders that were kind of even possibly better than the common man. Because the common man is actually quite beautiful, no matter what the media might tell you. All those mass this and mass that, it's not true. I've seen white glove tests of mass murders that could not happen in a thousand different manners of investigation. Impossibilities. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? And you see the evidence of, fakery. The evidence of fakery. Not just the lack of evidence. Let me get back to, and then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory, and then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds. I like how it says his in brackets, because God is not gender. From the end of the earth to the end of the sky. This is beautiful here. Learn a lesson from the fig tree. When its branch becomes tender and sprouts leaf, you know that summer is near. And I like how he says summer is near, because summer does represent victory. It really does. Summer represents victory. So you know summer is near. In the same way, when you see these things happening, know that he is near at the gates. Now when he says slumber, remember, it's dreaming of something other than God for time and time and times again. Heaven and earth. Amen, I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have come to pass. And I think he means the generations of histories, like 5 histories, or I don't know how many histories have already passed in, that had human types in it. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And I believe he's talking about how important, how true the words are, that heaven and earth could even pass away. But of that day or hour, no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. Right here is when he says, all the time be watchful, all the time be watchful, and be awake. And I think this is where we smile, because this is the only way God can be. Because God can slumber, if he could ever slumber, and dream a great dream, always. If we fall asleep from God, from the joy of God, the joy of the power of God, we should be awake and look for the joy, what we asked for. But of that day or hour, watch therefore, you do not know. When the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight or at cockcrow or in the morning, may he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all. Watch. Smile. Smiling means God. And I got to remember that when I read things like this. I saw my last video. I didn't smile enough, I said. Why? Why would I want to smile more? Well, I look more inviting. I look more inviting to myself when I smile. So I'm not going to read chapter 14. I'm going to keep it right there. Thank you all that subscribe, will you, please? Because I want to do that YouTube thing in this manner.
the ministry type manner, try to get people thinking, because once the formulas start trickling down, people will understand where things need to be covered, because they'll have more of a feeling of things. I believe that if they listen to truth rather than religion, and sometimes you do find truth in religious books, and I believe, maybe not always, but this time, I believe we touched upon some awesome truth. Thank you very much. And please do all that things. Subscribe, share. I forgot to keep saying share all the time. Share. Bye.